Hi there, I'm Thomas Prock from Marks Clerk. Now, I do feel the last presenter has raised your hopes unduly. He was not the last person standing between you and the Capri Sun. It's in fact, well, I'm not the last one either, right? It's you. Yeah, I'm the other Thomas from Marks Clerk. We only have two. The first one you heard this morning, Thomas Vesper. Some people might say that's enough. Now, Thomas has started his presentation anyway by referring to Dougal Clark, who is of course one of the two guys that gave a name to our company. He's invented the two-stroke engine. Now, I thought that was quite a poignant introduction that he gave there, because the two-stroke engine, for all intents and purposes, has been displaced. Displacement is one of the topics that has been met a few times today, and in fact Robert has provided some very nice examples of this. Now, no doubt you had no chance of spotting this from my accent, but I'm actually not a natural English speaker. I'm from Germany. And when I was there last, only a few weeks ago, a debate was had about the diesel scandal. And that has led, I don't know if you've heard about it, to the head of Volkswagen eventually deciding that he really should go. And that led to a speculation of, well, actually, what's going to happen to diesel? Is this the end of the diesel engine? Obviously, the Volkswagen is not the only determinant of that. But the reference to the two-stroke engine and the later references to quite a lot of electric vehicle technology, the charging technology, or indeed the vehicles themselves, plus the audience comment that this switch to electric vehicles, that we will all be surprised how quickly it will happen. It all really fitted into the whole theme. One example, of course, we've seen already, and it's a company we've seen over the years a few times. Certainly, those people that have followed the matter is Tiva, who produce electric or range extended at least trucks, and they seem to get an awful lot of traction there. This was not a prepared pun. Now, as a company that has been around for over 125 years, you'll imagine we've seen quite a lot of technology, and we move with that technology by the nature of our business. We have to. We protect what's new, and what's new changes, otherwise it's not new. As such, the cleantech field comes as a natural fit for us. We were quite keen to engage with it, and we have done so for the first time, roughly around 10 years ago, pretty much in parallel to Robert's start. I think we disagree a little bit on the start date, but regardless of that. Now, when this cleantech movement in the UK really started, cleantech was a foggy concept. It was a label, I suppose, that wasn't very well defined. I'm not entirely sure it's particularly well defined now, but what it is it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere. Whereas 10 years ago, people went like, well, what's a cleantech business? Now we see loads and loads of cleantech businesses, and today is just one example of that, where you can say, well, actually, in all areas of technology, do you find very, very excellent efforts of reducing waste, improving efficiencies, and so on. Excellent examples. I think Data in Waste, just the last session, has shown that really quite nicely. The big data computing technology and the waste industry, I don't think they're natural bedfellows. Neither are thermostatic valves and machine learning, or indeed soil health and computing. Just the two examples where silos have been broken down, where technology has crossed into different areas, as opposed to more traditional models where really a particular company was good at something specific, and that's about it. No, there's a lot of diffusion of technology going on here, and of course, a company of our size, we're the biggest company, biggest patent attorney firm in the UK, is delighted about this because we can serve all of it. Now, we've seen a large number of examples of excellent companies now in the judging session that was referred to earlier. We've seen a lot more than that. And in a way, it's a pity that people had to be excluded, because what was seen, for time reasons, right? What we saw there is actually, it gives an even better view of what's actually going on. There's an awful lot of it there. We've seen some excellent examples there, but that's by far not the end. Now, just to go into the breadth of technology that we've seen well, foggy plant nurturing, farming on Mars, anybody? Another reference that Thomas very cleverly, I suppose, has made. Methanol-based heating, a commonly traded feedstock for silent heating, absolutely great stuff. the use of information technology in many areas. This is the charging again, the waste area. A lot of on power storage again, the holy grail, of course, of microgeneration, waste prevention. The solar bricks are like those replacement of building materials with something that's actually from a dumb lump or something to something actually quite clever. New wind turbines we've seen, quite not necessarily standard development. Standard development tends to be incremental. There's quite a big step that's been taken, and I've heard earlier in the day that the wind technology is becoming very competitive. Well, who knows? Maybe that new turbine is taking a leap forward. Time will tell. Anchoring technology for marine applications, new pylons, heat from movement. There has been an awful lot there. What I'm trying to say here is the breadth is quite staggering. 10 years ago, Cleantech, a foggy concept. Today, omnipresent. Absolutely great. Now, as a patent attorney, you get one of the benefits of the job is that you get a first-hand view of what's interesting, not technologically interesting. There's an awful lot of good stuff out there, and you know, if you're a bit of a geek like me, then you get excited quite easily about this sort of stuff. That's not what I mean. What I mean is the commercial side. The first-hand experience comes from the fact that people have patents, they build up barriers to market entry, and of course, as soon as it's commercially important or successful, the competitors start mining and they start fighting with each other. And looking through the technology, today, through the presentations today, or indeed during the judging sessions, a couple of people stood out where I think, hang on guys, you've got something that is really clever. It sounds like it's going to be commercially really quite relevant and successful, and it very much sounds like people won't mind. So brace yourself. Not that that's a bad thing, because you're relevant, people care about it. So it's a side effect, I suppose. Now, Ben Lynch, I saw him sneaking out earlier. He didn't know what I was going to say. He felt that the government possibly has a better story to tell than him about efficiency. Now, a lot of the technology here of course, was about efficiency, be that in energy savings, be that in better dealing with waste. At the end of the day, it's a question of efficiency. Now, I'm not quite sure Ben has got his story straight. I thought he did quite a good job on his presentation on efficiency, but most certainly the presenters today did an excellent job. Now, I think we're taking a step back again to the beginning of today. Now, 10 years ago, forgive me for saying so, but I'm predisposed to this whole thing. I've grown up in Germany where the green movement is a grassroots movement, really. 10 years ago, over here, I don't think anybody would have guessed that Cleantech could become competitive at the rate at which it has. We've heard from Chris Yoon this morning how the reduction of carbon risk actually translates into a return of investment, an improved return on investment. I think that was actually a very heartening message, because I don't think a few years ago people would have guessed that he's got the data for it. Excellent news, very excellent news. Of course, we've seen a lot of solar subsidies, but not just solar actually, environmental subsidies. Some have worked excellently. Some of these subsidies have actually worked so well that they overshot the target and created some financial difficulties for the governments that have presented it. Those subsidies, or some subsidies, have been abandoned by the greenest government ever. And I don't think that was particularly welcome news when it happened, but to actually now get the message that, well, actually, stuff works without them, I think that's great stuff. Now, all that said, I don't think anybody will pretend that life is easy for an SME. It's not. It's very, very hard work. And it's great to see that, actually, the evidence we had today of the business skills that are that's involved in the running of an SME is self-evident. I'll give you a few examples. OpenTOE started in excellent storytelling mode. Jim Henson sends his greetings. I was half expecting the puppet to come out any minute now. It didn't, and that's probably great, because it would have given this deep probing grid duck claimed to have experienced some rather different meaning, I suppose. Business models have been considered in depth as well. Evidence of that was abundant today, although I must say we haven't quite learned of the right balance between keeping your pets warm and saving your bills. Encouraging though is to say that even if the burglar hacks into your thermostatic valve, they'll be freezing burgling you because the flat's cold. Good stuff. Now, Marks Clerk has offered a training session, which we were quite happy to see was, actually we hosted it. It was offered by you guys and we contributed in a small way. Forgive me, that was overstretching the whole thing a little bit. It was great to see how well it was attended. I hope it was useful. Now, as Thomas said earlier, it's probably not something you'd expect from a law firm, but we have quite a deep commitment to helping SMEs, and I'm delighted to say not only do we offer the free advice Thomas mentioned earlier. Please, if you're interested in this, it's free. There's no catches associated with it. Come and talk to us. We'd be delighted to talk to you. We've also offered made some other offer to the people presenting here, and we're delighted that some of them have taken that offer up. I think they'll benefit greatly from it. So fingers crossed for them here. Now, I think that's all I want to say, with the one exception that I am actually personally delighted that we at Orchard has taken the opportunity to actually pick Cleantech Innovate up and run with it and continue with it. I think it's a great program. I think it's of great benefit for everybody involved. So thanks for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll stop standing between you and your drink. I'm Thomas Prock from Marks Clerk. Thank you.